Hello, my name is Myra. Welcome to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to go ahead and talk about all of the books that are releasing in April that I'm very excited for, and also kind of go over my April TBR. Now, it's wild to even think that we are already in April, but it is what it is at this point. I'm like, you know what? I could keep complaining about the time or just accept it and try to come to peace with it. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, there's a ton of books that are releasing in April. And honestly, I had to kind of like look it up and kind of see what's releasing, because there were a few books that I've heard like from months ago, or like they're sequels for other books, and I couldn't remember when they were coming out. And it just so happens that there's a bunch of them coming out in April. Another very important thing that's coming out in April is Taylor Swift's new album. My life is gonna be Taylor Swift new releases, and that's it in the month of April. So there you go. But anyway, I want to go ahead and start first with the new releases that I'm excited for. Now, the very first book that I'm going to mention, I am so excited for this book. This is Midnight of Ashes by Tessa Halley. Now, this is a sequel to Twilight of Embers. Also by her. This is a Why Choose Dragon Shifter romance. I read the first book in like a day and a half. Freaking loved it, was obsessed with it, and then it ended in like a huge cliffhanger, and I'm just like, what? And I already knew going into it that it's supposed to be a trilogy, so there is still gonna be a third book that gets released later on. It actually happens to release on the same day as the Taylor Swift album, so that's gonna be a very interesting Friday for me. But yeah, I'm obsessed with like the series, or like the first book already. Loved it, 5 stars. And then this one again is a sequel. It's a dragon shifter romance, so I love dragons. I just think they're so freaking cool. And this one is a dragon shifter romance. You have this girl who is in college, and she has no idea that she's a female dragon until she obviously ends up finding out. Not only that, but there is such a thing as fated mates, and so her mates happens to be like 5 different super hot dudes. Yeah, and this is book 2, Midnight of Ashes. So that's like the book that I'm the most excited for next month. Also on my list, I have King of Sloth by Anna Huang. This one is following her Kings of Sin series, so it's her billionaire romance series. I have read the first 3 books, King of Wrath, King of Pride, and King of Greed. The first 2 are okay, but King of Greed, loved it. 5 stars. It was like one of my first like marriage and trouble type of romance books, and I loved it. Like absolutely loved it. And this one is her 4th book in the same series, and it follows a billionaire, because they're all billionaires, and his like publicist. So this is a like publicist and like client romance, but it's forbidden. She's like the one person that doesn't throw herself at him and like isn't like bending over backwards to like make him happy, even though like she technically works for him. And so that just makes him even more attracted to her. And Sloane, the heroine, she actually is like one of like the other girls that's like in the same similar friend group, because this one, if you've read the Twisted series, there's like a friend group, and all 4 books follow all 4 friends, and Sloane happens to be one of the girls who's also like in like this friend group with like, they're like the partners of the other billionaires, if that makes sense. So anyway, I'm just excited to read it, kind of see where the series keeps going. I think her series is gonna be like 7 books total, not 100% sure. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Again, the first 2 books were okay, like still above a 4 star, but King of Greed was like my favorite. So I'm kind of curious to see like how King of Sloth is gonna turn out for me. Next, I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This one is like the start of her new series. I've only read the one other series by Elsie Silver, and I can't think of what the name of it is. It's like Reckless, Powerless. I forgot what the other titles are. So that's the series that I read, but this one is like a completely new series, and it has to do with a billionaire who moves to a small town because he wants to start up his own recording studio, which I was like, that's an interesting mix. Small town, billionaire, recording studio. It sounds interesting. Also, he is a single dad, or at least a 12-year-old is claiming that he's her dad. And on top of that, he has the hots for like his best friend's little sister. So it has like an interesting mix. And honestly, I loved Elsie Silver's books, and the other series that I did read, I think it was Heartless. I want to say that that's the one with the single dad. I loved it. I actually ended up really enjoying that book. That one I think is my favorite out of all of them. So I'm really curious to see what she does with this series. I have a new to me author, but I saw it and it seems really interesting. So this one is Earthflown by Frances Wren. So this is supposed to be, it was described as like futuristic medicine plus magic, and it's dystopian and takes place like in London. This guy ends up healing this girl who I believe suffers a gunshot, and it ends up being that she's like from this super powerful family that can like basically controls the whole water supply in all of Britain. And he ends up meeting her brother, and then they kind of hit it off. So it is an romance from what I gathered, but it has to do again with like water shortages and stuff, which is a very real problem. So I really, if you don't know, in April there is Earth Day. April 20th is Earth Day. So I think it's the 20th. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But it is in April. And so I actually wanted to read a book that had to do with that. And this is like a romance slash like, yes, futuristic, and yes, there's magic, but it's a very real problem. So like, I feel like it kind of mixes well together. And so far from like the people that had the arcs, not that I let that like really influence me, but it seems like people are really enjoying it. So I'm curious to see how that book is going to turn out for me. And last but not least, from the new releases, I have Finn by Kate Randall. This is another new to me author, but this is a mafia slash like arranged marriage. So you do have these two like very powerful families, and from what I read, it looks like one of the families, well, they pretty much hate each other, and one of them suggests like, hey, how about your son marries my daughter, and then that way we can just team up and be like even more powerful, and we can stop fighting with each other, which a lot of the mafia romances that I have read are pretty similar in that aspect. But what I did see with this one is that she is, yes, a mafia princess, but she's not just going to like bow down and obey her husband. She is going to rip him a new one and tell him, yeah, good luck. Like, yeah, I have to marry you, but good luck trying to get me to like, you know, agree to everything and just sit there and look pretty. So it seems like the type of mafia romance, honestly, that I really enjoy. I love myself a feisty heroine, so this just seems like a book that's like right up my alley. So those are the new releases in April, or at least some of them that I'm very, very excited for. But I do have other physical books that I own that I really want to get to. Honestly, I might have mentioned these in other TBRs, but this time I'm serious. Like, I'm really gonna read these, and there are particular reasons why, and I will disclose that. So I have on my list here Love Theoretically. I really want to read this book because I like Ali Hazelwood, and honestly, I kind of like started reading the first few pages and it already seemed really interesting. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get into it. It already piqued my interest, so I'm gonna jump into this one. The other one, and again, I've mentioned this one too, but Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I feel like I've been hearing about it even more, and actually just today, Larry Reed's and Eternal Embers Bookshop released like a special edition of Binding 13 and Keeping 13. I bought it. I know that's toxic, but I bought it even though I haven't read this one, but it's just because I have a feeling that I'm gonna really like it, because at least 5 of the booktubers that I watch and enjoy watching and whose recommendations I've gotten have enjoyed this book. So I feel like we already have similar tastes, so I'm probably really gonna like it. And those covers that Larry designed, beautiful, like so pretty. So I bought those 2 books. We'll see, but I am gonna jump into this one and just kind of see what it's all about. I have heard that it is pretty emotional. People do recommend for you to like look up trigger warnings, and also even though it's a high school romance, apparently it's very like deep. So I don't know, we'll see. But this is another one that I'm for sure jumping right into. And then of course I am going to continue with my Throne of Glass series. To be completely honest, well, first of all, I was gone. I was in Hawaii for 9 days. Sad, poor me. I know, I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying, like, I was in Hawaii for like 9 days, so I wasn't reading. I actually was hardly reading. I did get to finish a book and then start another book, but it was only because I was reading it on my Kindle, and I really was only reading that at like night or like early morning, because I was on California time and Hawaii is 3 hours behind. So I was waking up super early, like before everybody else, and I was using that time to just kind of read on my phone on the Kindle app. So I didn't take my Throne of Glass series like books with me, especially because I'm doing the tandem read right now, and I think each book is like 800 pages. So yeah, I didn't take them with me, so I'm behind. I need to continue on the tandem read. I need to finish Kingdom of Ash. I started in January, and I was hoping, I was like, hopefully by like March I'm like done with everything, and no, I haven't, but it's okay. You know what, it's fine. But I'm gonna continue that in April, and I should be done in April because I want to start Crescent City, and I can't start it until I finish Throne of Glass. So first world problems. Anyway, so I will be reading those, but on top of that, I also have these 3 books that I'm going to be reading. The first book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I know that this book is not new, and I've seen it around a bunch of times, but I'll explain why I'm going to read this. So I have Cruel Prince, I have The Night and Its Moon by Piper CJ, and then I have The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I'm sorry, I know I totally butchered that last name. So these 3 books actually I'm gonna be reading as part of a vlog, because I had my boyfriend come with me to Barnes & Noble, and he had to choose 3 books that he thought I would enjoy. And he kind of picked these all from the same section, and you'll see in the video, like he kind of cheated because he knows that I've been really loving fantasy, I love romance, and so he really just went based off the cover. He told me that this one, he chose it because he knows that I love trees and it has a crown, and it just sounded interesting. And he did look at like the back, and he saw that it has like fairies, and he knows that I love like fae and fairies. He chose this one. Again, he knows that I love the moon, and he knows that I love stars. So really he, again, went based off the cover. And then this one, he literally looked at the cover and he read a little bit of the back, and he's like, yeah, this sounds like fantasy. It seems like you'll like it. So I have not read any of these, like any books by these authors before. Again, I had seen this one, had not really heard what this one was about, had never heard or seen this one, and then this one also had never heard or seen. So I'll be discussing my thoughts on these in that vlog, so make sure to stay tuned for that video. But anyway, those are the books that I'm going to attempt my best to read in the month of April. Again, Taylor Swift's like album coming out and all these other books. Who knows? We'll see how much I actually get through. But thanks so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.